Hey guys, so in this video I want to talk about the ISDT Air8 charger. So this is the latest version of the good old Q8 ISDT charger, sort of the standard go-to charger for FPV quads. Now, I have to say I have sort of mixed feelings on this one. This is obviously, this is one of the products that I get sent by Banggood, so this is basically a sponsored product, but honestly I like doing these reviews. They're quite fun, and who doesn't like free stuff? So, but actually, this thing left me a bit puzzled because I wasn't really sure whether the new features the Air8 has over the Q8 are actually anything that really solves a problem that we have. But let me get into what it does, and then we can go into the discussion of whether this thing actually makes sense. So what's new on the Air8? The Air8 is basically identical to the Q8, same specification. It's really the exact same thing, except that the Air8 can talk with these little bed air plugins over Bluetooth. And these little plugs do two things. They make your battery telemetry communicate with the charger and with your phone. So with your phone, actually works quite nicely. As you can see, I put this one on this Ovonic battery here. And if I open up the Air8 app, it immediately connects. And as you can see, it gives me some cell voltage, charging status. I can actually customize the settings here, a charge rate, a discharge rate, and so on, battery capacity. And it tracks the, it does track the cycle. So it gives you a bit of telemetry and information on your battery. Yeah, nice to have. And what it also does is when you connect the battery up to the charger, it will automatically take over the settings you have saved in the app and on this little charging module, and put this on the right setting so you don't have to do this manually. It should. Let's see, 3 amps is wrong. It should be 1.3. Yeah, now it's communicated, it's 1.3. So, well, all nice and good. And I would say the positives, this thing is extremely well implemented. The app here works very well, connects extremely quickly. This is all super seamless and smooth. But the real question for me is now, what is this actually good for? Does this solve a problem we had? Or is this sort of a solution looking for a problem? And I would say my take on is especially for FPV pilots, 99% of the time, this is really a solution looking for a problem. You would supposed to be leaving this on the balance plug all the time, because it doesn't make sense if you swap these plugs to other batteries. They must be the exact same, and your cycle tracking will not work anymore. So that's the first problem on FPV quads. This is really troublesome to have this on there. This is gonna dangle around. This might get in your prop, so that's a problem, and it's extra weight. And having that battery data on your phone, is this really actually something you need? Honestly, I don't think so. I wouldn't know why I would want to do this on a regular battery I put on my quad. That just doesn't have any advantage. I can see the status of my battery when I plug them into the charger to recharge them. I'm aware of the internal resistance, the cell voltage, everything is fine. That's all well and good. I also don't see why I would have to specifically track the cycles. Might be nice to know, but who actually cares? As long as the battery is fine in terms of internal resistance, I personally don't really care about the cycles. So, is there a use case? And I would say yes, maybe. There's a use case for example, big field batteries, which you use to recharge these batteries here. It might come in handy to be able to monitor those big batteries on your phone without having to look at the charger, which also tells you the overall voltage of the input battery, which usually is also fine to monitor this. But might be nice to have, and this thing only costs, I think, around €5. So yes, why not? But honestly, it's yeah. Maybe I don't know if some helicopter or plane pilots have a real use case for this. I personally would say, yeah, it's maybe nice to have, but actually doesn't really. It's a well implemented solution for a problem that doesn't exist, in my opinion. And I'm gonna leave it at that, basically. Now, another thing that was a more positive surprise, there was actually these Ovonic batteries. These also were supplied by Ovonic. I have to say, actually, I thought Ovonic was more sort of a cheaper brand manufacturer, but actually I was pretty wrong. The only thing that is irritating is these super old school quads on the on the packaging of the batteries. They should update that design. But apart from that, these things are neither cheap nor bad performance or quality. I think these are like $48, so they are not much cheaper than an R line, but they actually perform pretty much right on par with the R line or GNB batteries. I mean, I flew this on a light 5-inch where I could basically be on 75% throttle for 5 or 6 minutes without any problems. These batteries really don't seem to sag at all. They're very, very much capable of supplying high amp for a long time. Now, admittedly, I'm not a racer that is going to put these packs to their limit. But I mean, for me, they work extremely well and have very, very stable voltage when doing high-speed, long-range cruising. And also, just to push them a bit to the limit, and this is also a teaser for an upcoming Rekon product. Let me get this in camera, hoping that this thing will be difficult to fit on camera. Maybe we can zoom out a bit. Okay, now with the camera moved back a little bit and in wide angle mode, I can finally get this monstrosity in frame almost completely. So what you're seeing here is what is going to be released in hopefully just a few months as the Rekon10 Pro. This is the latest prototype here, frame is pretty much final. But what I was actually getting at is that I tried the Ovonics on this, and even the 10-inch was actually still doing okay on these batteries, so I'm quite confident that they can handle some pretty high peak amps. Not sure how much amps exactly it pulled, because the current sensor isn't perfectly calibrated and it's quite time consuming to really nicely calibrate those, and I didn't get around doing it, but I think it's safe to say that if the battery is still doing okay on a 10-inch, it's probably a pretty well-performing battery. Now, to the 10-inch itself, as I already said, the frame is pretty much final. The components are going to change. This is still stuff I'm scrapping out and trying out to figure out what the right, especially what the right motor size is and the right motor kV I want to have on there. And also to adjust all small details, the TPU mounts, the antenna mounting. So on the production version, obviously things like zip ties for antenna mountings are not going to be on there, but the carbon parts itself are pretty much final. It already went through a few iterations, and basically, the challenge was to use the 7-inch platform without completely changing it, but still making it capable of carrying 10-inch props. And basically, the main body is a bit wider than on the 7-inch to have more space for bigger batteries. It's all 3mm plates. So as you can see, these are pretty thick plates here. The bottom plate and the top plate. The middle plate is still 2mm, simply to have the right stand of size, and it was stiff enough like this. The arms are 8mm thick carbon by 60mm, so this thing really has quite a lot of stiffness, and it makes this actually quite easy to tune, and has pretty clean black box logs and no jello and so on, even when not balancing these 10-inch props, which was sort of my objective. So really quite nice, really quite a lot of fun to use such a 10-inch quad, just because it is so impressive in terms of the noise it's making, the looks, so really quite cool. And if you guys have some suggestions and ideas what you would like to see implemented in such a quad, and I know a lot of you want to see HD0 in there, and I'll try to make a version with HD0 of this one. Yeah, leave some suggestions or features you would like to see in the comments. Always nice to read those. And thanks for watching, guys. Bye bye.